A man walks into his therapist's office. He's 51, successful, just got out of a 22-year marriage, and for the first time in 2 decades, he's seeing someone younger, much younger. His therapist leans forward and asks, "What does she give you that your ex-wife didn't?" And he pauses, because the answer that comes out of his mouth surprises even him. He says, "She doesn't give me anything. She just lets me be someone I forgot I was." Here's the truth nobody is talking about in this age gap debate. It's not about her youth. It's not about his money. It's not even about attraction in the way people think. There is a deeper psychological mechanism at work, and once you understand it, you'll never look at this question the same way again. And here's what women over 40 almost always get devastatingly wrong about why this happens. I'm Marcus, and if you're a man who has felt more alive in the last year than in the last decade and can't explain why, this is why. Let me tell you what happens to a high-achieving man between 35 and 50. He spends 15 years building career, family, status. He becomes very, very good at performing the role of provider, protector, planner. And somewhere along the way, he stops being a person and becomes a function. He wakes up at 3 a.m. The house is quiet. His wife is asleep. The mortgage is paid. The kids are fine. And he feels nothing. Brother, if you felt that, you are not broken. You are not having a midlife crisis. You are experiencing what evolutionary psychologists call identity erosion. The slow disappearance of who you actually are beneath who you were required to be. And here's the brutal part. The people around you never noticed, because the function kept working perfectly. So what actually happens when a man in this state meets a younger woman? Let me show you the 3 forces nobody talks about. For one, the blank canvas effect. When you've been with someone for 20 years, they don't see you anymore. They see a story about you. The time you failed, the promises you made, the version of you from 2009. A younger woman has no story about you yet. She sees who you are right now, not who you were. This is not manipulation. This is not a trophy hunt. This is a man getting his first honest mirror in 15 years. 4.2. The energy synchronization effect. Here is something nobody in this debate says out loud. Men age differently than women. Not better, not worse, differently. A man's peak psychological confidence, earning power, and emotional groundedness typically arrives in his late 40s and early 50s. A woman's peak openness, her hunger for experience, her willingness to follow someone into a vision, often arrives in her 20s and early 30s. When these 2 cycles overlap, the energy synchronizes. It feels electric to both of them. This isn't delusion. This is biological timing. Force 3. The permission structure. This is the one that nobody names, and it's the most important. She gives him permission. Not permission to cheat, not permission to be reckless, permission to want things again, to have a vision, to be interested in his own future. His previous relationship, through no one's fault, had evolved into a management structure. Bills, schedules, logistics. Not a relationship, a partnership agreement. She says, "Tell me what you actually want to do with your life." And he realizes, with a shock he wasn't ready for, that he has an answer. A real one. He just hadn't been asked in years. Now, let's talk about what women over 40 almost always get wrong about this. When a woman over 40 sees her partner choose someone younger, her first interpretation is almost always, he wants something easy. He's running from depth. He's afraid of a real woman. And I understand that narrative. It protects her. It explains the loss without requiring her to examine anything uncomfortable.
But here's what the data actually shows. Studies on relationship satisfaction in age gap couples, particularly where the man is 10 to 20 years older, show that the most frequently cited reason men give is not about physical attraction as the primary factor. The most common phrase researchers see? Variations of, "I feel like myself again." Not, "She's more beautiful." Not, "She's easier." But, "I feel like myself."
The real question in an age gap relationship is never why her. The real question is, what happened to you in the years before her that made you disappear? Because here is the insidious truth that nobody wants to sit with. If a man spent 15 years in a relationship where he felt unseen, unheard, and reduced to a function, and he then finds a relationship where he feels witnessed, the problem was never his age. The problem was never her age. The problem was the slow erosion of self that happened while everyone kept telling him everything was fine. Now I want to speak directly to the man watching this who is in the middle of this situation and feels like the whole world is judging him. Here is what I've observed in 20 years of watching men navigate this terrain. The men who navigate age gap relationships well, who don't become cautionary tales, who don't humiliate anyone, who don't lose their integrity, are the ones who understand the mirror effect. They know they are not choosing a woman. They are choosing a version of themselves, and they hold that with tremendous responsibility. The men who handle it badly are the ones who are running away from their age, from their ex, from their mortality. They use the relationship as anesthesia. You owe it to yourself and to her to know which one you're doing. And to the women over 40 watching this, I'm not here to diminish your pain. A relationship ending is not a small thing. The loss of a shared history is real and devastating. But I want to offer you something more useful than blame. The man who chose someone younger was not choosing against you. He was choosing towards something he had been starving for. That does not make it painless, but it changes the question you ask yourself. Instead of, "What's wrong with me?" the more powerful question is, when did we stop asking each other who we actually were? The Stoics had a concept, amor fati, love of fate. Not just accepting what happens, but recognizing that what happens is revealing something that was always true. Age gap relationships don't create new men. They reveal men who were buried. The question is, what do you do with what has been revealed? Here's what I want you to leave with today. 3 principles for men in this situation, whether you're in an age gap relationship, considering one, or trying to understand what happened. Principle 1, name the mirror. Before anything else, you need to be honest about what you are seeking. Write it down if you have to. Are you choosing towards something authentic, or are you escaping something you haven't dealt with? This is not a judgment. It's a compass. Men who name the mirror navigate honestly. Men who avoid it create wreckage. Action. Today, before you make any move, finish this sentence. I am choosing this because I want to become. If you can't finish it, you have more work to do first. Principle 2. Separate the mirror from the person. Here is where many men fail. They fall in love with the reflection, the version of themselves she activates, and project that onto her as a permanent quality she possesses. She is not your mirror. She is a person, finite, complicated, imperfect. The man you are becoming when you're with her, that man is yours. You have to own him whether she's in the room or not. Action. Build one habit, project, or identity marker that has nothing to do with her and everything to do with who you're becoming. Today. Principle 3. Lead with integrity, not urgency. The most attractive thing a mature man can offer is not money, not status, not experience. It is unshakable clarity about who he is. Women of any age are not attracted to a man who needs them. They are drawn to a man who has chosen them from a position of wholeness, not hunger. Your age is not your limitation. Your urgency is. Action. If any relationship in your life right now is being driven by fear of loss, slow down. Sovereignty is not built on speed. I know some of you watching this have been told that what you feel is wrong, that you're being reckless, immature, that you're a cliche. And I want to say something to you directly. The fact that you're still asking whether what you feel is real, the fact that you haven't just run headfirst into this without looking, that is not weakness. That is exactly the mark of a man who is doing this with integrity. Reckless men don't watch videos like this. They just act. You are here because you want to understand yourself. That matters. That is the beginning of everything. Here is your permission, not from me, but from the part of you that already knows. You are allowed to want a life that feels real to you. You are allowed to stop performing a version of yourself that no longer exists. You are allowed to choose, with your eyes open, with care for everyone involved, the direction that makes you more fully yourself. That is not a crisis. That is sovereignty. Now I want to hear from you. Has anyone ever told you that what you were feeling was wrong, but deep down you knew it was the most honest thing you'd felt in years? Drop a number in the comments. 1. Yes, and I trusted the feeling. 2. Yes, and I ignored it. I'm still paying for it. 3. I'm still figuring it out. No judgment here. This is a space where men are allowed to be honest. If this gave you something to think about, if you saw yourself somewhere in this, then stay in this community. Because what we're building here is not a fan base. It's a brotherhood of men who are choosing to understand themselves. I'm Marcus. This is Sovereign Male Dynamics. And the man you're becoming, he's worth the work.